Hi guys, I'm Nu-TRix the Synth guy, and today I'm on vacation, but I have to do this video because Roland released another model expansion for Zenology, and I gotta tell you, I'm just happy about these things. They're cool. And at the same time, it's a perfect example or a perfect moment to do some synth history and talk about what are these classic that they're re-releasing again and that most people heard about, some played with them, and a lot of people still want to get their hands on the original because, I mean, they're a great synthesizer. So today we're going to talk about Zenology model expansion of the Juno-106. Before we go into that, we will talk about the original Juno to see what was the original Juno-106. Why is it still seen today as an important piece of the synthesizer history, if you want. Then we will compare, but we will look at the Zenology model expansion Juno-106, how it sounds, how you play with it. It's pretty straightforward. And then we will compare the sound of it with the Plugout version. So there's two offer of the Juno-106 recreation and the Roland Cloud today. So we'll play with the two of them and you'll hear the differences. They're not exactly the same. They're not that different either. But there's the sound, which is, I would say, well, you'll see. But there's also options that are not the same. And that's why I want to start with the original Juno to talk about what was the original Juno and the limits of it. So you understand what they offer today. It's actually not exactly like the original, but because it's part of, if you recreate something today, why limit yourself with the limit of the original? You want to mimic and recreate the original qualities that you wanted and the fun to play with it and the instant gratification that you get out of playing with these type of synthesizers. But then you also want to open up to the present. So example, the SH101, the different recreation of it in the Roland Cloud offer a polyphonic synthesizer, which is not the case of the original SH101. So let's actually go into the original Juno-106. So first of all, you need to understand that the Juno-106 was released in '84. The Juno-106 was one of the best-selling synthesizer of Roland until the D50 came out. So it means that it was at the end of the analog world of synthesizers. And when the DX7 and D50 came out in the 80s, mid-80s, everybody wanted to go digital. So, DX7, D50, the M1 from Korg, all of these devices changed the way people saw sound because synthesizers have been around at that point for a lot of years and they all had the same, not sound, but same technology in a way. So they're all analog. So there's a limit in the type of sound they can do. And when digital came out, it was a revolution. So this one is kind of the last big hit of analog synthesizers for Roland. And gradually everybody went digital after that. So what was different between the Juno-106 and the others? There's other Junos before that, that's one thing. And there was also the SH line. Remember when we talked about the SH101, the 101 is, or the SH is the series for beginners. People starting out, starting with a new synth, want it to be simple. The Juno was not necessarily meant to be this, but it was mostly the affordable line of synthesizers. So affordable means more limits in a way. There's some decision they made into having it affordable yet very good, and that's why we still talk about this one. So if you look at the synthesis itself, you have one LFO, so kind of like DSH, but there's a delay time on this. You have a DCO. Now, DCO doesn't mean that the oscillator is digital. I mean it's digitally controlled. So it's still an analog synthesizer, but controlled digitally, meaning that a lot of synthesizers that are only analog had the problem of detuning and not being, stable. The DCO makes it so it's more stable, it's controlled digitally, And you can also tune it in real time. So there's different features that made it in a way that the DCO was more affordable, more stable, and it was a good thing at that point. But you still have pulse width modulation, you still have a sawtooth, a sub oscillator, and a noise. Basically, this looks a lot like the SH in a way. It's not exactly the same, the range is a little bit more limited, but you still have mostly what you had in the SH, for example. But there's a DCO, it's digitally controlled, so more stable. You have, and that's new compared to SH, you have the high pass filter. So you've got an high pass filter to cut the low frequencies, so it gives you a different type of sound. You have a VCF, or the traditional Roland low pass filter that can be controlled with the envelope, the LFO, or the keyboard. So it's basically, again, same thing as SH for this one. You have a VCA that can be controlled by the envelope or by the gate, and then you have one envelope. One envelope. Keep that in mind. You'll see later why. And then you get the chorus, and the chorus was part of the synthesizer, and it's still, the Juno chorus is still seen today as one of the good sounding, cool, you know, lush, wide. It gives that movement and that wide sound. It's just a cool sounding chorus. So you'll see that one is something people will like and they want to have. What was interesting also was the fact that you could save your memory, the patch memory. When you say that today, it sounds like, yeah, whatever. No, at the time it was something very important because some synthesizers have no memory, like the SH didn't have a memory. Most analog synthesizers did not have memory, and even today some of them don't have memory. So to have a memory was a good thing, and again, for the price point, this was affordable. There was also something else of interest about the Juno-106. It was a polyphonic synthesizer, analog polyphonic synthesizer of 6 voices. Again, at the time, big deal. You know, it was a big deal for the price, for the quality of the sound, for all of that. And that's why there's some limits. That's why there's no 3 oscillators going into a mixer. No, there's only 1 oscillator. So all of these reasons makes it affordable yet powerful synth, and it's been used by a lot of people because it was just sounding good and doing a good job. So today you have it in different format. They released Roland released the boutique version of this. Actually, I think 2 versions of it, if I'm not mistaken. And it's available in the cloud. So in the cloud, there's 2 versions. There's let's look at this one. There's this one, the Juno-106, the Plugout version. So this basically is supposed to run the same algorithm that you have in the boutique. So, and if you have a System 8 or a System 1 or System 1M, you can actually take this and load it into your hardware and go, you know, plug out. You just unconnect from the computer and use it in the hardware. So that was released, like 4 or 5 years ago, by memory. And it still sounds really nice and good. But it's using the analog circuit behavior, and this algorithm is, you know, recreating the circuit, all of the parts, all of the circuit section. So it's more demanding than the Zenology model, but you know, the both sounds really nice. Now, if you look at this one, just to compare, if you look at this one, you have in the DCO more control. You have range that is wider than the original one, which is, again, like I said earlier, you want to give more stuff to people because why not, you know, why limit to the original thing? So you have a wider range of tuning for this. Rest of it is, you know, mostly the same, more controlled about the source of, you know, the way the envelope will control, because there are now 2 envelopes. You have envelope 1 and 2, which is not the case on the original one. So if you use this to recreate the sound of the original Juno-106, you would like to use only 1 envelope. But then again, why limit yourself to have this? So if you want to recreate exactly the Juno-106, you don't want to use 2 envelopes, just 1. If you want to just create cool sounds that sounds like the Juno but with more power, then you would use the 2 envelopes separately. So one could be for the envelope, for the filter, one can be for, or the pitch, and you know, whatever you want. Or the pulse width modulation in this case could be used by the envelope 2, and the envelope 1 could be the VCA, for example. So that's it. That's why you have another control here about the two envelopes or the gate. So there's a little bit more control because of that. And you still have the high pass filter and the low pass with the VCF. You have the chorus, a little bit more control here. Like there's like delay, reverb. These are part of, you know, all of the plugins. Usually they have that. And then you've got more control here, like options and settings and stuff. So this is more about the software version. So shows you that this is cool. One really cool thing is the arpeggiator, and it will come into play in my end of the video when I'll talk about the good and bad of all these options, is that this one has a really nice arpeggiator. So wait a second, put my headphones. It's just fun and fast to work with, and it's just a very nice sounding. I mean, the synth sounds good. That's one thing that is key. But the arpeggiator is just like a really easy way to work with. So that's a cool one for that's the Plugout version. Now let's open the Zenology version. You'll see the difference. Zenology has a totally different layout to it. By default, you've got the same little option here. For all the Zenology window, that little screen that you work with. And this one you have just, you know, cutoff, resonance, attack, release, sub-oscillator. So it's very quick. So if you click on it, you've got the list. Something that is interesting to keep in mind, if you just want to see the Juno, you click Juno-106. There's only limited to this. And those who are written in capital letters, these are the original sound, the factory presets that Roland released in the original Juno-106. So if you want to hear what it sounded originally, well, that was the original sound. Okay. That's it. That's the original sounds. So let's actually now go back and just want to go back to the screen where you see, where is it? We close this, and you have, close, double click, yeah, there you go. I want to see the edit window. So you see the screen, you see how you can make your sound. Again, the logic is, like we saw in the original one, it's fairly simple. If you look at this little screen on the corner here, you have LFO that controls the DCO and the I-pass filter. There's one LFO with two destinations. And then you've got the I-pass. So it goes into the I-pass and the DCO. Then it goes into the VCF, which is the low pass with control, the VCA, and there's a multi-effect at the end. And you have an envelope that controls the two of them. Then what is good here, if you compare it to the original, it is more close to the original. You got the rate, the delay for the LFO, like the original. You've got a limited range, 16, 8, and 4, mostly like the original. LFO that can control this. You've got the DCO controlled. You've got the different wave shape. Again, the list you have here is more, it's closer to the original Juno. And you have I-pass filter, and you've got the low pass filter here, with frequency, resonance, the envelope, and control from the envelope LFO key. So again, like the original. You have these controls here of Roland filter, Moog filter, or sequential circuit filter. So these are different algorithm to mimic different type. If you want to keep, but these are available in I think everything that is Zenology. Then you got the VCA, again, envelope or gate. So like the original, and then you get one envelope, one. This is closer to the original Juno-106 because of these options. And then you've got the Juno-106 chorus, okay? And you also have, like, you've got different versions of them. So that's it. And this again, it sounds really nice, you know. It's just, and then you've got the same logic that you had in all the other Zenologies. So you've got the poly, solo, unison, the on or off for the portamento, the different options here, the pitch drift if you want the pitch to be a little bit off like analog would do, and the condition. So condition, again, if you don't know, is about how old your device is. So it will recreate the reaction of dried out circuits that don't sound the way it should. And so it might have a duller sound or a slower attack or a different reaction in the filter. So this is just a way to have it sounding like old, basically. Sometimes people will say it doesn't sound like the original, and they're wrong. It sounds like the original because the original you never played with. You played with a 30-year-old synthesizer. That doesn't sound like it was new. When it was new, it didn't sound the way it sounds today. So in some cases, people would say, well, it doesn't sound like the original. Well, it doesn't sound like the vintage version, not the original. That's the difference. Okay, so this is it. What I don't like here, and that's true for everything that I saw in Zenology for now, and unless I don't get it, is for me, I'm lacking the arpeggiator. So that was the fun part, because now I don't have an arpeggiator to play with. I have a keyboard, I've got the keyboard, I've got this here. I don't have an arpeggiator to play with. I've got menu, I've got the menu for, that's it. So that's kind of that's a bummer for me. So I'm waiting to see if Zenology will have an arpeggiator one day or whatever. But the fact that you had that in the original Juno and in the Plugout version is really cool. That might be one of the reasons I'll go back to the Plugout. Just so you remember, the Zenology version is less CPU intensive than the Plugout because of the way the algorithm is written. And you have also help. If you click on help, you will have the manual showing up, okay? And then you'll be able to see, well, in Juno-106, and you're going to have the information about it, and you'll be able to learn more about how to use it if you want to know exactly all these parameters, what they do, and how to use them. That's it. So let's actually listen to it and see if you like the sound of it. So if I have this little, let's just go back to a bass line. This was supposed to be something like, is it like here? I'm going to bring down my microphone. let's compare these two. Let's actually go in and compare this one, okay, to this one. Get rid of the keyboard. Let me just get rid of the keyboard so you don't see it. These two. Okay, let's actually. Yeah, this one. That's a synth bass. Can I have the same preset in this one? Click here, preset. This one's called Synth Bass 2. Do you have the original one? Synth Bass 2. Do you have it here? Synth Bass. There's noise into this one. So get rid of the noise. So now we're listening to Zenology, modal expansion. And this one. So now we're Juno-106 Plugout. They're a little bit different, but again, I mean, you would have to tweak it, but they have the same, you know, let's say DNA. Let's actually try this one. Let's try, I don't know, synth pad. Okay, if I go, well, that's this one playing. Try this one. Let's try if you have a synth pad here. Do we have a synth pad? Synth pad. Do we have it? Synth pad. That's pretty damn close. Okay. There's a difference in the volume. Let's try to fix that. Level here. We also have effects here. Yeah, we're on the 2s, here you're on the 2 also. So, you know, still find this to be, I mean, any way you look at it, this sounds good. And this is just the Juno playing, you know, outside of this one, which is, if I take this one off, all you have is Zenology playing now, plus the drum. Go back here, let's try that. This one is really nice. good, you know? It just sounds good. And this is just Juno-106 emulation. So again, I gotta say, Roland, my hat off to you. It sounds good, it's simple, it's efficient. I would like to see the arpeggiator into Zenology. That would be my request. And there's a bigger request, please. Put it into the iPad. I want to have Zenology in the iPad with the model expansion. And I'm not the only one. So that's it. That's it. If you like it, thumb up, share it with your friends. Look at all the links below. That's it. It's just every time I play with the model expansion and the Roland Cloud, I am surprised of the quality and the efficiency of it. I just want it to be on the iPad so it can be a mobile setup again. Right now I'm creating on the iPad, then I go back on the computer and reassigning the sound, so I've got this. But I want this on the iPad. I want it. Make it work. That's it, guys. See you soon.